I think the economy, which should function, I would say ideally as a free market, in other words, not controlled by government in a sort of centralized top-down way. We know that doesn't work. It's inefficient. But rather than thinking of money for the sake of accumulating more money as the highest value, and that really has become the top value of our civilization, literally just money for the sake of money. We have more money than we know what to fucking do with. And so we're out trying to go to Mars. Hey, there's water on Mars. That might get even more investment. But money is a means of communicating value. And so the question becomes, well, what do we value? The market can't tell us what to value. Culture tells us what to value, right? And so the market really depends on this cultural creativity. It feeds on it. And Rudolf Steiner actually says in his social threefolding model, where the three basic spheres, the economy, the political, or the rights sphere, he calls it, and the cultural sphere, that we have to think of cultural life, which includes everything from science and media and education and sports to, everything where we allow the individual human being to express themselves. The cultural sphere is like the metabolism that's feeding the economic sphere. And so rather than think of the economy as like just about material conditions and harvesting raw material and using the means of production to produce transformations in history, and then all the cultural stuff is just smoke or steam coming out of the top of that activity, we can reverse it and understand that this cultural spiritual activity is really where the fuel for the growth of the economy comes from. And then money can become, rather than an algorithm of destruction, that, rather than the increases of the amount of money that exists in the world being a great signal for how much destruction is unfolding in ecosystems and in communities, money can then become a tool that we use rather than being used by it as its tool. Money is a spiritual technology, and it can be, when we remember these earlier logics, gift economies, potlatch, and recognize that the real problem we're facing economically is not actually scarcity, but surplus, and the fair distribution of surplus, then we can start to reimagine money. And invention means to find in some sense too, right? So again, we're remembering ancient technologies. It's not that money is evil, it's that money is not being used to communicate value effectively because we forgot where value came from. Value doesn't come from the market. It comes from our consciousness, from our capacity to refine our attention, and we become better at sharing attention and intention by playing together. And primarily culture, many anthropologists and sociologists have written about how culture is basically ludic in its essence, that it is about play. And then we discover that what we think is unique to human beings, this cultural capacity to play, is actually fundamental to how the whole universe creates itself. So yeah, I don't want to give off the impression that I think markets are bad. It's just that markets need to be harnessed and not allowed to run amok as if that's just our human nature. No, our human nature is actually richer than that. We love to cooperate and empathize with one another just as much as we are competitive and want to protect our family and increase our own wealth. Like, we have all of these impulses, and we shouldn't just overemphasize the vices.